Hi, everyone. Taylor Swift is once again the queen of the box office. This time she has a visual experience to go with her new album, The Life of a Showgirl. I didn't make it to theaters this weekend, so I don't really know what that means. But luckily, my usual Prestige Junkie after-party co-host Chris Rosen did make it. He was joined there by his 7-year-old daughter, as well as Vanity Fair's culture and society reporter Kase Wickman, who's also the author of an upcoming book called Taylor Swift Album by Album. It's out on October 7th, and Kase also happens to be Chris's wife. So today, it's a family affair as both Chris and Kase join me to talk about Taylor, why she loves AMC in particular and movie theaters in general, and why she still feels like an outsider in the industry she is currently dominating. After that, you will hear my conversation with Mary Bronstein. She's the director of the absolutely riveting new movie, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. It's her second film, coming out a full 17 years after her first film. And yes, there's a fascinating story behind that we'll talk about. I'm Katey Rich, and this is the Prestige Junkie Podcast. I should introduce Chris because you're the one who's here with me consistently. But Kase, you're the one I'm most excited to have here at long last.
Of course you are. I mean, come on.
Long overdue guest on this podcast who, Kase, you and I worked together for a long time. There have been many periods in my life where I was talking to both of you separately throughout my work days, and now here you are together.
It's true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, long last. Katey is one of the few survivors of working with both of us.
That's true. It's still ongoing. I try to keep my roster full of one of you at all times.
It's like it's a select list. I was gonna make some jokes about meeting both of you for the first time today.
Oh,
but,
I see. Yeah. Well, we have this rapport, this natural rapport already. Well, Chris, people hopefully heard us talk to Hunter Harris on Friday about the new Taylor album. We did just fine for ourselves, but I do feel like we needed Kase for the big guns for a full podcast episode about this. Does that feel right?
Oh, yeah. Kase is an expert on Taylor Swift. She literally wrote the book on Taylor Swift.
Oh, you're holding the book. Never miss an opportunity to promote.
I do prop work.
And only after-party subscribers can see that kind of prop work.
That's true. That is how we're going to get those paid subs coming in there. So you guys were both at, what was the theatrical event called exactly? The movie premiere of a Showgirl?
The official release party of a Showgirl.
Okay. So Chris and I had this conversation with Hunter Harris. You can watch it on Substack. Well, this is all before any of us saw this. So Kase, set the scene. What was this movie experience? What was going on? Where'd you go? What was the vibe?
Listen, it's 3:30 p.m. on a Saturday.
Party time.
Suburban New Jersey. Our daughter is screaming for an icy, and she needs it in a Gabby's Dollhouse cup.
Did she get it?
Yeah, of course she did. Chris was there.
Yeah, Chris has been very clear that how many promotional popcorn buckets and cups do you guys have in your house?
All of them is the correct answer.
And you know how many I was involved in? None.
Yeah, let's just be clear.
Yeah, I'm mean.
But you were there for this on Saturday. And there were no promotional Taylor cups, which felt like a real missed opportunity.
Not this time. Yeah, we still have the cup and popcorn bucket from Eras. But missed up. Maybe because it was only the 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that they were doing it. But so AMC in Mountainside, New Jersey, gorgeous. We've got our reserved seats. Kids, not totally full.
Oh.
I love a chill vibe.
Okay.
I took some notes on my phone while we were watching it, but no trailers, so no buffer room. We sat down with our several popcorns that we somehow got, an icy, a bunch of, I don't even know.
To be clear, I think the kind woman at the concession stand gave us more than we ordered.
Wow.
I didn't pay for, I think we got a little bit of a deal.
It was a celebratory mood there.
Maybe.
For the release
I
party
think we
of
got an extra
Showgirl.
popcorn for free that I didn't pay for.
Wow.
But,
They knew. We
give them enough money at the AMC, so.
Yeah. I mean, you are an A-list member.
I was about to say, at this point, I'm an A-list member also, not to plug AMC, who's not sponsoring this podcast, but you're very welcome to. How did
this is going to be the tipping point.
Yeah.
I sat down before them. I was like, these yahoos will get here when they get here. They came with all their snacks. They did the countdown from 10 that started the Eras tour, both the in-person experience, which I went to, brag, and the theatrical experience, which I also went to.
Double brag.
Not a brag, just exists.
It's a brag.
Okay. And a very short promo for the Target version of the vinyl. Sure.
Do you guys have that
And,
already? Has that been added to the household?
Yes, that is our physical copy of the album, because I have variant fatigue, to be real.
Okay, we'll get there. We'll get to the variants.
Yeah, and then we just blew right in with a straight-to-camera intro from Taylor, and you were there by then, right? Chris?
Yeah. I mean, the movie, it's not a movie, Katey.
Well,
This
is my
Not a movie.
the essence of the question. Like, is it just like those YouTube lyric videos that you get sometime, but all at once?
So it was twofold.
Yeah.
She does the intro, and then she played the video for The Fate of Ophelia,
Right,
which she directed. And you can watch now on YouTube, released on Sunday night.
I should have watched it before we did this.
You know what? You don't need to. It is a great video. I thought it was really cool. And it's really creative.
Need to watch it.
It's very good. It's very good. And we could talk about her as a filmmaker, which we kind of touched on with Hunter earlier, but I do think it's really shows her, I think, way she could be a filmmaker. So it's a great video. And then it's basically her doing BTS an interview to an unseen, unheard, off-camera person, explaining what the tracks are, and then the lyric videos for those tracks, and then interspersed within there to pad this to 90 minutes is a making of the Fate of Ophelia video. And then so you see her behind the scenes and going through each scene and talking to her collaborators. It's really cool. And then it ends by playing the same video that you saw earlier, but with now all this context of how she made it. And it actually is pretty cool.
Okay.
And I thought that experience was fun. And in case you could say our daughter quite enjoyed, I think, watching her direct this video, and was kind of talking about that when we came home, in terms of how she got to see Taylor making the video, and in this part, remember, she was doing this, and I thought that was really interesting. So you got to see both the real heavy promo shit of the lyric videos that are on YouTube, and then also the creative Taylor doing this thing, which I thought was cool.
So it's the pop star version of that Ryan Coogler video with the Kodak film stocks. It's I see how it works.
A little bit.
to radicalize 7-year-olds.
Big Spielberg hands.
Yeah.
We got home, and she immediately was like, we're gonna make some music videos, and made us tape her dancing.
Okay.
I think we cut it after 4.
Okay.
I think it was 4, and I was like, I want to do my crossword.
We didn't give her as many as David Fincher would have wanted, probably, but not yet. She's got a little ways to go.
Release the Rosen cut.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, you said padding it out, compared to the Eras Tour, which, that concert in person was famously long. The movie is just exactly the concert. That was a blockbuster event. This is already out of theaters. It's not really, no one can see this movie. I guess it'll be on some platform at some point to be able to watch somewhere. But did it feel like it was kind of running on the fumes of the Eras Tour release, or did it feel like its own thing?
I mean, it felt maybe a little from column A and a little from column B. Okay. I didn't find I was not bored watching, because you get to listen to the album, which we could talk about too. But I know Kase and I both really enjoy. So hearing the songs in the theatrical experience with the great sound, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, because the songs sound really good.
Yeah.
Then it's quick enough in terms of the backstory of the songs, and kind of interesting. And I laughed out loud a few times, as she's a real the way she talks about these songs, because knowing what we know about the songs, or what the meanings are. So actually romantic, clearly at least heavily referencing Charlie XCX, the way she kind of discusses that song about it's about people being kind of talking shit about you, basically. And then there's
a laughing
long pause.
Because she was being deliberately dodgy about it.
And then Wood, she's also it's a song about superstitions, period.
And she said, and other things.
And other things. And there's
then there was just a long pause, and she's
long pause.
But this was you said this version's censored, or it's the radio friendly version.
They're all radio friendly.
Yeah. So Wood is so heavy on double entendres. I don't what does it change?
Thighs is skies.
Yeah.
Oh, the key that opened my sky. It doesn't really work. It doesn't work. But kids don't tend to question those things.
Correct. And for actually romantic, instead of wet, it was sweat. You're making me sweat instead of making me.
I mean, that makes
wet.
a little bit more sense.
Anyway, but I thought it compared. I mean, Eras Tour was a great theatrical experience, but it's also absolutely punishing, because you're sitting there for 3.5 hours, right? That is a long
it's
freaking
the one
movie.
battle after another of concert movies.
Oh my God. It's funny that they were both out, Flower Moon and that were both out at the same time, because they are both 3.5 hours long.
Leo and Taylor.
Both of them 50 times, Chris.
And I've seen them both many times. But I would say this was less punishing, but also like I said, it is just you're watching a YouTube video basically, or like a BTS, like kind of like old DVD. It reminded me of like old DVD features, right?
Which
where
we're
it's like,
always saying
like,
we want more of, right?
Yeah.
And like Kase was saying, like our theater wasn't completely sold out, but it was full enough. And like everyone there was like a humongous Taylor Swift fan dressed up like in Taylor Swift merch.
Were they wearing
and
the
like,
orange and the mint green?
They weren't wearing that. It was more like I saw like Eras Tour sweatshirts, I feel like, and stuff like that. And then also applauding after some of the songs. So I was like, oh, like the crowd, the fans found this and were certainly, the fans were satisfied.
It served its purpose. It does seem like it was maybe wise to do it as only 3 days. Like it wouldn't really hold over for another weekend at all.
Absolutely.
Like, because Eras did, I think.
Yeah. Eras they extended, I think, a few times, if I'm remembering correctly. And that was something that you didn't have access to outside of the theater. And this, you have, the album is out, obviously. The video is now also out. I'd imagine, although I could be wrong, I'd imagine based on nothing, that this will be available on, Disney Plus, whatever.
Sure.
But it was a nice, low-stakes listening party situation. This was a callback to the famous secret sessions that Taylor used to have for her albums. So she would have these fan events where she would invite super fans. This was during her Tumblr Taylurking area. So like 1989, the first people to hear it weren't the media. They were fans who she literally invited to her apartment. They're like, I saw your cat, like your actual cat here, and listen to the song. And
she had
Taylor.
very bad boundaries for a long time, and I think is still trying to claw a lot of that back.
I think that they're improving, but they're still not amazing.
Yeah.
So this was kind of a watered down secret session.
More Gen Pop version of that.
Yeah, like I don't want to say watered down because I don't think that it was like
more accessible. Like, right? It's not just a bunch of fans. It's anybody who buys a ticket.
Absolutely. More accessible. Like Chris said, people were clapping in the theater. People were laughing. They had the lyrics as a lyric video would imply. They had the lyrics on the screen. So our daughter was singing along to it a little bit. It was nice. I was taking notes because I'm ill. And so I was like, I know that there are things hidden here. I have a shouts to the illustrious Kelly Butler. I was talking about it with her later, and she said, Kase, sometimes gaffer tape is just gaffer tape. Because I was like, okay. I think I saw like a random piece of gaffer tape in the back of a bunch of the lyric videos, but like inconspicuous in one piece, and like, what is it? And she was like, I'm going to hold your hand.
But Taylor also, like,
okay.
all of her, like, years of, like, secrets in the liner notes, like, I'm not going to forget maple lattes anytime soon. She's created this. Like, she's made her own QAnon, which, like, my mom has become a hardcore Swiftie and will tell me all about the crazy theories that are out there.
Not where I thought that sentence was going to go. And I was like,
oh,
no, Katey.
No, my mom is on QAnon. No, my mom is done. It's like, she'll get all the, like, wild theories and show me. And it's like, it's just such a cottage industry. And I don't know.
Which, by the way, my mom has gone hard QAnon. Just it is what it is.
But it's totally a holdover from that Tumblr era stuff. And it builds the fandom. I don't know, like, if it serves the music at all. I wonder how the album kind of holds up after all that level of speculation.
You know what, though? It is a great listening experience. Dolby Surround, baby. Sounded great.
Yeah.
I've been actually, my new theory as of this morning in talking with people about this is a car album.
Okay.
This is an album to listen to in the car and blast it. I'm out here with the bass making my rear view window or my rear view mirror just
Yep.
This is a good one to listen to while you're driving. Just bump it and beat up your steering wheel. This is a great car album. And so that Dolby Surround and listening to it in super high quality, I think that it added to it. It was worth it.
Yeah, I mean, in case you literally have this book about all a Taylor album, my album, you wrote the book on it. Where does this stack up, do you think? People have been hard on this album in a way I did not expect. And I don't think I realized when we did our thing on Friday, Chris, I was like, this is great. And then I log off Substack. I was like, oh, people who don't enjoy the...
I have many thoughts on this, but I want to hear Kate go first, and we can talk about that.
Listen, I like it. I like it a lot.
Great. Sold. Gavel.
Yeah, Kase likes it. No, I think that it's really interesting that this album feels like it's in conversation not only with her fans and her critics, but with herself. There are all kinds of lyrics that reference back to other lyrics of hers. There's melodic callbacks to her own old things. There's phrasing that's very similar. So I think that it's a really interesting thought exercise because she's very aware that this album is in the context of her larger body of work. It's like, Eldest Daughter has But I'm Not a Bad Bitch and This Isn't Savage. White Horse has But I'm Not a Princess, This Ain't a Fairy Tale. And so the parallels of that and showing that growth and how that's in conversation with herself, I think is very interesting as someone who knows, like, I don't know, at least 3 things about her.
You know the names of her cats. I know that much.
Listen, it's important. Benjamin, he's such a gentleman. Mm-hmm. And it's upbeat. People, there are always going to be the haters. There's always going to be people who go, "Ooh, wait, after 36 hours of marinating, it's really grown on me." There are going to be people who find it in a few years and go, "Wait, why did I dismiss this one?" I mean, I have friends who have listened to Tortured Poets one time and never, they were just like, "Not for me." And I'm like, you know what? There's hope for you in the future.
I might be that friend. We can talk about that.
That wasn't a direct reference to you, but if it is, I'm so happy to unpack that with you.
It's not my favorite. With these releases, I'm always interested. I'm always going to listen to a new Taylor Swift, but I'm going to there's an extra level of lore and attention that I'm going to lack, which is where you guys come in to explain all of this to me.
Well, the thing is, it's like Star Wars.
And you can go real deep.
You can go real deep. And as both of you know, I don't on Star Wars and have been known to perhaps weaponize that. But Taylor Swift, you don't have to know all the lore. You don't have to have the extended universe. You don't need to know the Tumblr hashtags. You don't need to know about the Redwood tweet to think that wood is wild.
This is literally the first I'm hearing of the Redwood tweet. I don't know what it is.
Tell Katey about the Redwood tweet, because I think this is indicative of the album and also why people don't like it. And we could talk about this, but explain this to Katey, because this is good.
So I don't have it in front of me, so this is going to be a paraphrase, but there's a tweet that's something like, Taylor Swift, when she writes about sex, is like, the sap of his redwood entered me like vines and branches, whatever. Chris, do you have it?
I'm looking it up right now.
I'm making it sound way worse than it is. It's a lot, but it's not that much.
She hasn't really written about sex before ever. That's kind of what's so remarkable about it.
In 2021, it was like an Ariana Grande fan.
And they're back? Are we doing like last year's Oscar race again?
It's like a bunch of different things. And it was a 2021 tweet. Swifties, when Ariana sings about sex and doesn't write it like, quote, "He stuck his longwood in my redwood forest and let his sap ferment my roots." And it's like a meme of like someone crying. And so now she held that tweet for 4 years and then made a fucking pun song about Travis Kelce's dick with this as like its like reference point. And like that is some deep, incredibly online shit that we're talking about.
But we all believe she did it.
You don't need to know it.
You don't need to know it. You don't need to know this at all. But that is certainly like there in the background.
Listen, I relate in that she may forgive, but she never ever forgets.
She never ever forgets. We certainly know that is true.
Clutch her grudges.
Yeah,
she loves. We said this. I said this to Kase when we were listening to it, but it is like Reese Witherspoon in Big Little Lies. I love my little grudges. I tend to them like little pets.
Little pets.
That is this. Yep. And my thing with this album is like going off of that. I feel like she's like a lot of the themes on this album are stuff I would say, Kase, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it's thematically stuff that she has at least nodded at before, right? Sure. Like in terms of like haters gonna hate, right? And like don't listen to the haters and like looking for love. Obviously never maybe been as outwardly happy as she is on the songs about Travis, but like a lot of these themes are similar. But I was thinking of like this being like in Torture Poets, you have Daddy, I Love Him, right? Isn't that the name of that song? And that's Torture Poets. And she's like, Sarah's and Hannah's in their Sunday best, like kind of like really you're getting an immediate evocative picture of the people she's talking about online, which are like conservative trad wives who are like going to thumb their nose at her and like kind of critique her.
Well, it's the same as the she's cheer captain, I'm in the bleachers, right? It's the same character of other women.
In this album, I feel like the critiques are it's not as easy to listen to this album as someone who would mock a Sarah and a Hannah and detach from it. And I think that is one of the reasons why people have been upset about it, because it is an extremely online album that suggests like people online are kind of haters, obviously, and like it's just there's this phoniness about being online, and her approach on this album is like, hey, what if we were just like in the real world and more earnest? And I don't think people like hearing that, because they don't want to be earnest. Like, they like their incredibly mean-spirited online comment section and lowercase tweets that they could do and like detached irony. And this album is like really not like that at all. It kind of reminded me of like, is this analog to Superman? Because remember, the whole point of Superman is like actually being earnest is punk rock. Mm-hmm. And like, that's kind of like a lot of this album, I feel like, is that, where it's like, actually, I'm really earnest. I love Travis Kelce's dick so much. I'm going to write a whole song about it, and like, it's going to be great.
Well, Chris, we had the conversation a couple weeks ago that we're going to pivot to feelings this fall, that it's going to be, Hamnet and K-pop Demon Hunters. And I would argue One Battle After Another is one big pivot to feelings. Like, I think Taylor has been there before. Like, I think the Folklore, Evermore albums are also really earnest. But I think that's an interesting point, that it's like the internet that Taylor is so bathed in is not really made for this, but kind of broader culture, movies, music are heading in that direction in some way.
Yeah, I love a pivot to feelings. I love feelings. I have feelings all the time. So does Taylor.
Yeah. So do her many young girl fans, as I'm sure you guys well know.
What? No. Yeah, I agree with some of Chris's take on this. I mean, what's she gonna do to find new themes? Is she gonna write a concept album about filing cabinets to satisfy the need for something new? Of course she's gonna have evolving and continuing thoughts on fame, on love, on the internet, on friendship, and that's life. It's not that she doesn't have problems. It's that her problems, for the most part, are problems that we don't have, right? And she's still like, oh, I'm relatable, and there are certain things that are relatable, and there are feelings that are relatable, but the context of the situation is not relatable. And so, yes, I'd say that she revisits some of the themes that she's talked about before, because of course she does, but I think that you can see a clear evolution in those songs, like I was saying, that she's in conversation with her past self as much as she is with the broader world and her fan base and critics.
I also think this too, and the yes and that is that she's now, I don't think she's ever been as confident in how she actually feels as she is on this album, because I do think like she is like not afraid. Like she says it in which song is that, Father Figure or Eldest Daughter, where she's like not like terminally. What is that line, Case? Like where she's like
terminal uniqueness
and like kind of like, I've always tried to put on this like it, like always trying to put on the thing, and like this is really the closest she's ever been on a record to like her authentic self. I do think is like very interesting, and like I don't think she cares really that people are not as into it. Like I've seen people like be like, oh, the songs aren't any good or whatever, and I'm just like, to each their own. Like I think the songs are great, but I mean, like in terms of like people not mocking her lyricism, I'm like, I actually don't think this is like, it doesn't really hold water to me, because I just think she is like at a place in her life that she's happily expressing that she hasn't done before. I just think that's like an interesting thing for an artist to do at this stage, because she could just continually do, like, I'm not saying it's bad that she does like a lot of the similar themes, but she could just kind of repeat herself. And like, this doesn't feel like a repeater album to me. It feels like another evolution, another era, like they say.
To me, what? Yeah, to me, you can go through and you could point to where these songs would fit on other albums, right? Like, Eldest Daughter could be in Folklore, Evermore, Folkmore, as the kids call it. That could be on either of those albums. I think that Father Figure could be on Rep or 1989. Canceled, definitely Rep. But I agree that she's confident in her feelings and in her art and her work. And what's that thing? What's the line where it's everything too stupid to be said is sung? Right? Well, like things that would, I mean this celebratory.
No, I know exactly what you mean. All the big goopy feelings that if you say them out loud, they sound too stupid, but if you sing them, it's meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And there are, I mean, admittedly, I am the target audience for this. I know a touch about her and have been listening to her for like a few days. Mm-hmm. And, but like, there are multiple spots on this where I can both hear, oh, that delivery reminds me of another artist, like parts of Canceled sound like a Bad Guy to me, Billie Eilish. And I think that's cool. But then there are also things that are just pure Taylor moments to me, like in Eldest Daughter, when all the instruments kind of drop out and she says every youngest child feels like they were raised out in the wild, but now you're home. And I was like, how dare you?
That's what she does. That's that poetry.
And that's her. And you can say, oh, there are similarities in sound to XYZ, which is a fantastic thing about music, is that it's always influencing each other and in conversation there.
Yeah. I mean, I totally buy you guys about her, like, having this confidence in her feelings and being in this happy place. But I think the idea that she kind of has no more mountains to conquer album-wise. Like, even if people don't really like this, it's going to be a huge hit. And this brings me to what we were talking about with Hunter on Friday, Chris, is that, like, she has a chip on her shoulder about Hollywood. It's really clear in several of the songs. It's just been clear in the way that she keeps trying to write songs to get nominated for Oscars and keep not getting there. Like, it feels clear to me, based on just this conversation, the response to this album, like, she's got to go direct that movie. Like, go conquer that mountain. It feels like what she's setting herself up for.
I was thinking about this when we were watching it, too, because I was like, one thing Hunter mentioned this, like, in our conversation. Great conversation. People should just go watch it, because I think we have it on the after party.
But this one is also fantastic, to be
this
very clear.
I love this conversation even more. I love this one even more. No disrespect to Hunter. But in that conversation, like, Hunter was like, oh, she'd be a good screenwriter and stuff. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I was like, one of the things I was thinking of was, like, watching this movie and, like, listening to the songs even, like, on, like she is, like, we talk about this all the time in terms of, like, movies and, like, IP, right? And, like, Taylor has, like, 70, 80, like, IP-able songs. To me, I'm like, she could just take any number of songs. Like, I was like, what, Ruin the Friendship? Like, hit her. You could, like, I know, I like, not everybody's fave.
Jenny Han's got to be out here going, how dare you?
But I'm like, you can really make a whole.
How dare you not put that out yet?
You can make a whole movie about, like, Ruin the Friendship, right? Like, if you listen to that song, it's like an actual, like, treatment for a story in, like, 3 minutes. And I'm like, she should just. I would love to see her take one of her songs and actually transpose that to a movie. I don't think it would be hack. I think it would be amazing.
Which one do you want? Do you have one in mind?
Like, I don't even know. Like, Ruin the Friendship, I thought would actually be pretty interesting, because I think a way it could have, like, the resolution would be interesting in terms of, like, unrequited love, and you do flashbacks to, like, high school, but then you have, like, the dealing with the modern thing. And obviously, like, if you're thinking about it in terms of, like, God knows if these songs are real and, like, whatever. But if it's, like, terms of, like, her in a very nice, very stable relationship, still, like, looking back on, like, an old, like, potentially lost, like, connection or whatever that ends up being dead, and then, like, kind of all these different things. I was like, that'd make a great movie. And then watching the video, like, to bring it back to, like, the Fate of Ophelia video in the movie, I'm like, man, she's, like, really got I think she does have an eye, and she has a very, very decisive visual style, and, like, no shit, but, like, she really does have, like, a flair, I think, for visuals, and, like, she knows the stuff she likes, and, like, works with incredibly talented people. And I think she would make a great director. I really do think she could, like, knock it out of the park. And, like you're saying, Katey, like, how much more does she have to prove in terms of albums? And, like, how many, like, I'm never going to not be happy for a Taylor Swift album, but, like, what is she going to be 36 this year? Is that right? In
1989 plus 2025. Yes, 36.
So 36 in December. I'm like, what is she going to, like, what is Taylor Swift going to be putting out when she's 46, right? Or like in terms of music. And, like, I'm very excited to hear what that sounds like with her maybe potentially being married, and who knows if they have a family or whatever. But I'm like, oh, she'll have a lot more different life experiences in 10 years that she does now. But I'm like, I would be interested to see her, like, does she take a break from music, not because she's getting married, but to do, like, a movie or something else, and, like, kind of, like, flex, like,
a different muscle.
Different creative muscles.
Yeah.
Well, and just to plus one on her visual thinking and decisiveness and for planning on this, if you look at the track list for Life of a Showgirl, it's shaped kind of like
the era stage.
When you,
right?
Katie.
Oh, sorry. I thought that's the point you're leading up to.
Yeah,
I was going with you, but tell me why that's.
You do it.
No, I want to know why that's. I literally don't know why that's relevant.
I didn't know this
All
one.
I know
Why
is that it's shaped like
relevant?
the era stage. Why is it interesting?
Because it all ties in, and this is her farewell to the Eras tour.
Oh, I see.
So Life of a Showgirl is about, like, when you think of the Showgirl, you think of the show that they put on stage,
Sure.
right? We've got our I Can Do It with a Broken Heart, her vaudeville act, her, Travis Kelce, our boy Killa Trav, literally scooping her up off the floor at the Paris show. And so you think Showgirl, and so some of the commentary online has been like, this isn't about Showgirl at all, like, where's the I want more feathers, and I want to talk about blisters. But the thing is that this is about the life of a showgirl, not the role of a showgirl, right? This is the backstage moments. Mm-hmm. This is after the show. This is before the show. This is what's happening in the wings that you don't see. And so there are so many little nods there that are to the Eras Tour, and that this is a farewell to the Eras Tour. So she has said in some of her press that she is tired and she doesn't want to tour again until she can do it right again, like Eras. Eras, biggest tour of all time, I think 18 months, just exhausting, gigantic, and then later you find out that she was just flying to Sweden to record a new album at the same time. Sure. But so from the track list, from the text actually being shaped like that stage and having that forethought, to the title track, Life of a Showgirl, closing out with her closing audio from the Eras Tour when she's thanking her band, she's thanking Sabrina Carpenter, she's thanking the fans. It truly is a thank you to the fans. Even the Fate of Ophelia, the music video, that was her Eras Tour dancers are the cast in that. And so it's a lot of references to the tour and kind of closing that chapter of her life and saying goodbye there.
I want to start wrapping this up, and I want to throw out my two Taylor movies.
No. Go, says Katie.
I was sitting here looking up, because I get Folklore and Evermore confused. I'm sorry. I'm not at that level, but I want to throw out that Happiness, I think, from Evermore would make an amazing movie. That tone of like, I mean, it's obviously very Great Gatsby coded. So like, I don't know if that's her making her like 20s Gatsby movie. She tried with Amsterdam, it didn't work out. And then obviously Last Great American Dynasty. That's like the story that's right there. That feels like something that's been like living in her head rent free. So
or the teenage love triangle on Folklore.
I mean, you can, the Betty ones. Like I think I said with Hunter that I want to see Taylor's high school movie. Like, maybe she's like right at the age where she could make that, but it does feel like that
it's
kind of like
Valentine's Day, Katie.
Oh, that's true. I did see Valentine's Day.
Come on.
But yes, there's a lot in there to choose from. Kase, do you have it? What would your Taylor, if she was going to adapt one for songs, what would your pick be?
Oh, you're springing it on
all
me.
right. No, I would have thought you would have had this like locked and loaded, like we've all been thinking about it forever. Chris, did we say, I'm going to let Kase think about this. With Hunter, when we were talking about this, did we like predict how long it will be before she gets that Oscar nomination? Because I've been thinking about that still. I can't remember if we like came out and said.
We didn't predict it, but we did jokingly say like there's a very good chance Charlie XCX would get one in 27 for
the Wuthering
Heights
yeah.
music, and then Taylor wouldn't. But we did not go. But what is your prediction then, Katie?
I would say in the next 10 years.
You think in the next 10 years?
I think either for something she directs or like, and I think post eras, she is now enough of a institution that it's not going to have that striving feeling that like the Cat song or the Where the Crawdads Sing song had. Like she'll get the right, she can do a song for like, Yorgos Lanthimos, like do one for a real director in a movie that people care about. Like I think those stars can align within the next 10 years.
I would say this. I would say like she's never shied away from being unafraid of like being canceled. You know what I mean? Like she references like in the song, like, I mean, she's never like, but the response to this has been, it reminds me a little of like how people reacted to The Bear season 3, which is probably not what she wants to hear.
Yeah.
But I'm like, like The Bear season 3, which I thought was good, just like I think this album is good. I was like, like people really turned on it. And then the 4th season, they were like, fuck this show, we're out, basically. Right. And we'll see how that plays out at the Emmys next year. But it seems like that is where it's headed. And I'll be curious to see what Taylor does off of this, because like this has not been as universally acclaimed, and certainly there's a lot more negative noise online about it. Not that she cares, but I'll be curious to see from
maybe she does care.
Maybe, but we'll see. I'll be curious to see how what pivots off of this and what Kase is saying, how Time treats this album and these songs. I'm not saying from a Grammys perspective. I just mean in general, what does she do next creatively? What's the next play? If it's this, I don't think it'll be the Super Bowl, but those kind of things. What are the next big things that she's going to do?
Make a movie.
Creatively. And if it is make a movie, I'll be very excited to see it.
Yeah. All right, Kase, close this out. What's your Taylor song movie? Do you have one?
She already did it. All Too Well 10-minute version, baby.
Fair enough.
Taylor's version from the vault.
It's right
Sorry,
there.
that's a hack answer.
No.
That's pretty good, though. That's a great movie, honestly. So,
but I think Leo got his Oscar. Now it's time for us to be Taylor Oscar when. We can focus our efforts on that.
That's true. And Leo might get a second one before Taylor gets a first, which would be a real shame. Kase, thank you for joining for this long overdue conversation about Taylor.
You for having me.
Do you want to plug your book one more time before we send you on?
Yeah. We've got Taylor Swift, album by album.
Okay.
Out from Quarto Books. My two wonderful co-authors, Moira McAvoy and Joanna Weiss. Wherever good and average books are sold. This is a good one.
It's an excellent. It's good. Well, thank you for joining us, and everyone else, hang on for a moment, and then I'll be back with my conversation with Mary Bronstein.
Thank you, my brand new friends.
I'm so glad we've cemented our friendship now. Now let's hear my conversation with Mary Bronstein. She wrote and directed the raw, darkly funny, super unforgettable new movie, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Bronstein directed her first film, Yeast, back in 2008, and a lot has happened since then, including having a daughter with her husband, the film producer Ronald Bronstein, and then spending years writing and then trying to make If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You exactly the way she imagined it, as this totally fearless story about a mother who's played by Rose Byrne, coping very, very poorly with the pressures of her child's illness and everything else going on in her life. As Bronstein told me, it was not easy to get producing partners on board with her vision for the film. But once A24 got it, they really let her do it her own way. She shot it on 35mm film, which is challenging under any circumstances, but especially when she had the camera literally inches away from Rose Byrne's face for some shots. Bronstein hopes it won't be quite so long before her next movie makes it out into the world, and I promise you, If I Had Legs was worth the wait either way. You can hear more about how it came together in my conversation with the writer and director of If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Mary Bronstein. So when I've read you talking about the development of this, I think you've said that writing the script took 2 years and then getting the movie made took 7 years. Is that roughly the correct timeline?
Or 6, yeah, because if I do the math correctly, from the time I'm starting writing it to sitting here talking to you, it's almost exactly 8 years.
Okay. So I know, obviously you hear oh, it's a 7-year process to get this passion project made, and it kind of sounds vague, but 7 years is a really long time.
It's a long time.
What can you say about what that time was? What was it used for? What stood in the way until it stopped?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, basically, when I started writing the script, I wrote on spec. It was written because I felt like I needed to write it, and so nobody's sort of waiting for it or asking for it or knowing about it, and that's that's the freest way to create something, which I think is how the movie turned out the way that it did. Mm-hmm. In the midst of that, when I finished the script allowed me. While I was trying to figure out how to get this made, how to get somebody to pay for this and support it, because it's not your everyday movie, and it's also rare in the landscape of independent film in that it's written and directed, by me, by a woman, and it's radically about a woman's experience where we're only in her point of view. Mm-hmm. That's a tough. It's 2025 now, but it's still tough. It's still rare. Mm-hmm. We have to acknowledge that. So during the years where I was trying to get it done, but I already had the script. This script allowed me to get other writing work.
I see.
So I was making a living, basically getting paid to write things that like never came out. Fine with me. It's how I made my living. You know, that's sort of how the business goes. But the script allowed me to enter into the industry that I was totally on the outside of before. It allowed me to get representation, and then, like I said, it allowed me to get paid writing work. So I'm doing that while also, this is my baby, this is my passion project, and this is what I'm hustling my ass off, getting a lot of no's, getting a lot of really weird, we'll do it if you change this. What if we lean more into like the missing person aspect, and like what if it's more of like it's like a thriller about a missing like police, I don't know. And I'm just like listening to taking these meetings, and then I walk out and I'm just like, no. No.
Do they ask you to make her likable? That feels like the ultimate buzzword there.
Some people did. And that is a thing that makes my spine crumble, because that was also difficult about getting this film made, right? Is that she's a character that's doing things that you're not going to like sometimes. She's doing things that are wrong, just objectively wrong. She's behaving in a way that is not a way that we're used to seeing women on the screen behaving, which for me was the whole point.
At least the people saying likable saves you time. You're like, oh, we're not making the same movie. You can go on with your day.
Katey, you're so right. Once somebody uses that word, the L word, I'm out the door. Because do you know what? It's this weird thing with movies. Why does this whole idea about likable in life, film and art is a type of communication. All art, music, paintings, books, poems, movies. It's art is a way that we communicate. And why do we only have to communicate comfortable things? In life, sometimes people make you uncomfortable. In life, sometimes you encounter someone that you don't like. In life, sometimes you yourself find yourself doing things that other people don't like. And all of that, when you put it on a screen, somehow makes people very uncomfortable. But film is an expression of life. And so for me, that was something like you were getting at that I needed to really protect. And when I finally was able to reach A24 and they read the script, and I said, before they read the script, I said, this is the movie. I'm not developing the script. This is what the movie I want to make. They read it and they were like, this is one of the best scripts we ever read. Let's go do this. And I finally had found my partner, but it had taken a long time, to get there. And I was lucky enough then that A24 just was very hands off and just let me do my thing. And I think it reflects in the movie in that there's no big brother wagging their finger saying you can't do that. That's
By the way, this is not admirable behavior.
But and also like you can't go that far because you're going to lose the audience. To have a partner making this movie, I needed that because there are parts of the movie that I'm going to lose some people. That doesn't scare me. That doesn't bother me. I'm very David Lynch is one of my idols. The way that he speaks about what a film is after you're done making it really, really resonates with me, which is that, and I'm sure there's an actual quote, but this is the essence of it that I take in, is that once you make a film, you give it to the world, you put it in the world, it's none of your business anymore.
Yeah.
So if somebody goes and sits in the theater, everybody that sits in a seat is going to be coming and sitting in the seat with whatever their thing is that I have no access to. I don't know, you know, and so their interpretation of the film and their experience of the film is going to be different. And there's parts of my film that are very abstract. My film offers more questions than it gives answers. And my whole thing is like, I trust my audience. I trust you. And it's like the audience has to feel like they're in good hands and they trust me.
Yeah.
So it's a dialogue, but it's like no interpretation or feeling about the movie can be wrong.
Yeah.
It can't be.
I appreciate the way when you've talked about the movie at other festivals, it's like you said that like no interpretation is wrong. I'm not going to like tell you what it means. I think the title is kind of oblique in that way. And you're kind of resisting this urge to be like, no, here's this thing that I made for you. But I wonder about when you're making it, when you're either, you know, deciding to work with A24 or casting or whoever else, like how much do you have to tell them what it is? Like how much over explaining did you ever do in the process? Or was it always that attitude of like, you make of this what it is and we can make the same movie anyway?
Yeah. I was never asked to explain, and I never did explain what those things mean. The actors have to know. Mm-hmm. The actors have to know. And I have to know. And everybody else, it's not like it's keeping a secret, but it's sort of like, how exciting is it that, you know, for example, Conan O'Brien plays the therapist. Mm-hmm. He's got a whole thing going on with him. It's baked into how he can do that performance, doing that work of like, well, who is this guy? Where does he live? Is he married? Does he have children? What's his deal? How long has he been seeing Linda as a patient? When did he decide he was like done? When, you know, whatever. And all those things are baked into the performance and they come out in a way that the audience can feel. But they're not, the audience doesn't need to know them. But Conan needed to know them.
Yeah.
Rose needs to know. Rocky needs to know. Christian needs to know. You know, there's no, also on purpose, by the way, if you read the script and also in the movie, there's no exposition at all. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. There's not one line of exposition. And that was very important to me because in real life, if you walk in a room, you're not like, oh, hey, coworker, how are you? Good. It's you know, or hi, brother. It's great to be your sister. Like that kind of thing. Yeah. And that kind of thing's still happening in movies.
Oh, we see it all the time.
It drives me insane. It's like, no. Trust me to watch a scene and intuit that you are brother and sister. There's a way to do that. But that takes a risk and that takes a certain type of writing and a certain type of performing where, again, it all involves trust.
Mm-hmm. Was there ever a point, given that you had acted in your own film in the previous feature you'd made, did you ever plan to be in this? Was that ever part of your thought?
So when I was writing it, so I come to filmmaking through theater and performance and reverence for performance. And I don't put myself up there on the caliber with any of the actors that are in this film. And I didn't, when I was writing it, I didn't think that I didn't write it thinking I would play it. But then when I was thinking about casting, I thought, ooh, how interesting in like sort of meta way, you know, in like a Brechtian sort of way, if I play the woman in the film that's telling Linda, who's my emotional avatar, she's like, get your fucking act together, man. I'm going to kick you in the ass. Get it together. Listen to what I'm saying and do it. And I thought like, oh my God, how interesting would that be just on a personal level? The audience, you know, doesn't need to get it on that level. But I think, again, it's baked in there. And then the audience knows that I'm also the director. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking to my lead actor in a scary way. Yeah. And the first time we did the first scene, and obviously we had rehearsed, but when we first shot it, it was the scene at the very beginning of the movie where Dr. Spring sort of And my whole idea with Dr. Spring also is like she just sort of like appears. It's really scary. And it's the scene in the hallway where she's looking at the artwork, Linda is, and then Dr. Spring kind of like appears.
Yeah.
And is like, you haven't like had a family meeting, in a long time. We need to set a date. And after we did that scene for the first take, Rose says to me, you were really scary. That was really scary. And because it's so different than who I am and who she knows me to be, and what our relationship is as director and actor. And it brought this kind of weird thing into it that I think I was very interested in it. And I think that like if you're not playing and experimenting and feeling that way, like you're making a project.
Interesting. Like you do all the work to get the set put together. It's costing money. Everything is happening, but you can maintain that space once you're actually there to try something.
You must. And I think that viewers are smart enough that they can tell that, and that engages. That it's exciting. It feels like lightning in a bottle. And it's exciting, and the amount of engagement or people coming up to me after screenings with very, very personal, very intense reactions has been one of the pleasures of my life. I mean, that's what more can you ask for?
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like the whole thing doesn't have to work for somebody. I have a theory where it's like if I go see a movie and the whole movie is bad, it's a bad movie, but there's one idea in it that I've never seen before and never thought of before, and it's in that movie, that's a success.
Yeah.
That's a success. The whole thing can be crap, but if it's like one thing that makes me think and it doesn't leave my mind and I'm still thinking about it 10 years later, that's a success.
Yeah.
And as a viewer of films, that's what I want. I want new. I want something new. I'm 46 years old. I've been consuming media my whole life. I want something new.
Yeah.
I don't want a reboot. I don't want a sequel. I don't want an idea that I've already seen. I don't want my hand held. I want something new. And so that's what I, as an artist, am trying to give to other viewers.
Yeah. I mean, I think that kind of spontaneity and, idea of experimentation you're talking about is a lot more possible with like making films the way you made your first film, Yeast, where it's, cheaper cameras and you're using like people who you already know. And like, I think people graduate from that kind of filmmaking in a lot of ways for a lot of different reasons. You're using 35 millimeter camera on this. You're obviously escalating in a lot of ways, but like, are there through lines there? Like, is there something you take from that? Is there a style of filmmaking that continues from what you did on Yeast, in 2008?
So. I mean, when you're talking about Yeast, you're talking about a movie that I had a full-time job. The notion of that I would be able to make a living at making art was like so far away from what I thought was possible. And now that I'm doing it, it's like I wish I could go back and be like, no, it's okay. Like it's fine. It's going to be really hard. It's going to take a long time, but it's going to be okay. But when you're talking about Yeast, I had a full-time job. I took all my vacation days at once, so I had 2 weeks where we did the principal photography. I saved up money. The movie cost $2,000 to make. All the equipment is borrowed. Like you said, it's all people I know. It's my friends. They're all working for free. And there's no one over my shoulder. There's no one to account for. There's no one to answer to. And it's the most free way to make a movie. Yeah. And I think that young people that want to make their first movie, that's the way to do it. That's what you do. That's what you do. You don't wait around for somebody else to pay for it. That comes later, hopefully.
Well, God knows there's iPhones exist now. Like, it's so much easier than it was then.
That's what I always say. I always say, like, if John Cassavetes was making his early films, like, by going and stealing, he was making a living as an actor. He would take, like, shit acting jobs, and then he would go and steal the ends of film and splice them together, and that's how he would make his films. And it's like if he was alive today, he would 100% be making his film with an iPhone. Because it's like if you must make a film, if you must tell a story, you do it with what you have. It's like someone who's a painter, and it's like, well, are you going to wait around till you can buy the most expensive paint? No. you're going to find a way to get materials that you can afford and make something on the back of a cardboard box, like, because you must.
Yeah.
And that's how you know, I think, if you're supposed to be doing what you're doing, is if you have that, because it's not easy. So you have that thing. So with yeast, that's what yeast was. And If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. And I made some shorts. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is the first film that somebody else paid for. Now, when someone else is paying, you have a certain responsibility because it's not your money. But I was in a position where I was lucky enough that I can say with all honesty, I didn't make any creative concessions.
Yeah.
And that's the through line. That's the energy, where it's like, it's a radical sort of, yes, I'm using 35 millimeter, but that decision meant that I had to sacrifice some other things. But for this film, I felt like it was the right form. It was the right thing, because this is a practical movie where I'm using practical special effects. And the bad version of this movie would be like a slickness, like a cleanness. And I wanted that kind of grunginess. And so even there's a process, late in finishing the film that's like called vacuuming, where they take out all the sort of noise from the film, like the white sort of stuff, or how the noise in the blackness, or like scratches or whatever.
Sure.
Obviously, I got rid of, like, if there's a scratch across someone's face, right? But I wanted to keep that noise and that film as a physical object.
Yeah.
And that was what was important. My next film, I'm not a format snob. My next film could be, I don't know. I
thought you were going to tell me what it was going to be. It's going to be very exciting. So you don't know what it's going to be yet.
I don't know, but I'm saying,
okay.
Like, it could be anything. It could be on a VHS cassette camera. I don't know. It has to match the story. It has to match what you're trying to say. Like for example, I was like, Super 16. That's what this movie is. We did the camera test, and I was like, no, it's too romantic. It felt too glowy and romantic. And then I was very against 35, just because it's like this holy grail of, it means something that I can't really articulate. But then when I saw the 35 test, I was like, yeah, it's 35. It's 35.
Yeah, 35 is like what if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, every movie you saw was projected on 35. It feels like, gold plate standard in some way, but it doesn't feel like that.
That means it's a real movie.
Well, this is a real movie.
Right. But it's like you could shoot it. I could have made the decision to do on like 8 millimeter with non-sync sound. I don't know. But the through line, like you were asking about, is the energy that I bring to the filmmaking, which I hope never gets pounded out of me. But it is a kind of punkness and a kind of, well, nobody wants this, I'm going to do it. And I would give a pep talk to the crew. I had the happiest Teamsters that you ever saw. Because my thing was like,
I didn't know that was a thing.
It was great. I would do a pep talk every morning where it's like, I would go overboard, where it's like, it's us. It's like, nobody wants this. It's us against the universe.
You're doing like the locker room talk, yeah.
Yeah, like, let's do it. Let's do it. And that was the energy. And I think as a filmmaker, that's one of your responsibilities, is creating a set with the energy of like, where people are going to work hard to bring your vision. Everyone's just there because I had an idea. Right?
It's a wild thing about making movies. It's a lot of people for one idea.
It's like, I had an idea, now all these people have jobs. And it's like, okay, but then you have to, one of the most important things I think for a filmmaker is that you have a vision that you're so excited about that you need all these other people's help. It's a group project. Yeah. Like, if you think about it in school, like writing the script is like, you go home and you write an essay. That's fine. Turn it in. Making the film is a group project.
Yep.
And everybody needs to be as invested as me, or else it doesn't work.
So you're more of the same filmmaker as you were for Yeast than it might seem, based on how different these movies are. It feels like it's a lot of the same animating impulse from one to the other.
And yes, because to get the type of performances that I got, to get people to do the special effects, practical effects that I wanted, to get my DPs like in the ocean, they have to be as invested as I am.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you first encounter it, you're like, well, why should they be? It's my vision. It's important to me. But no, it must be a shared energy.
Yeah.
And I hope that when I make my next film, I hope I can keep that up, because it's also a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, even if you don't have the energy, though. Like, then it's maybe more work. So you may as well just bring the enthusiasm.
You know what? Like Ronnie, my husband, who is Josh Safdie's creative partner, they make those movies together. He has this thing that he always says where it's like, it's just as hard to make a bad movie as it is to make a good movie. It's just as hard. It's just as hard, because making a movie is hard.
Yep.
And when you're inside of it and doing it, you don't know. You don't know if it's going to be good or not.
Yeah.
And you're working just as hard. But the thing is that I think the difference is you're working a little bit harder. You're working a little bit harder to make it good.
That does it for today's episode. As always, at Prestige Junkie After Party, you can subscribe and get a video version of this podcast, all of our other episodes, and extra bonus episodes. We'll have a special one with me and Chris and another fun returning guest later this week. In the meantime, this episode was edited by Brett Fuchs and produced by Brett Fuchs and me. Our theme music is by Dave Gonzalez. Thanks again to our guest co-host, Kase Wickman. Subscribe to the Prestige Junkie newsletter at theankler.com and to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We will see you next week.